There will come a day, perhaps many, when your heart will be bruised, your spirit weary, and your hope a flickering flame. The world, with all its sharp edges, will not ask your permission before it wounds you. And yet, in such moments, you are presented with a sacred choice, to collapse or to stand, to bleed publicly or to bind your wounds quietly and walk forward as if they were not there. This is not cowardice nor falsehood. It is courage in its most silent and noble form. To learn to act as if nothing hurts you is not to lie about your pain, but to refuse it the final word. There will come a day, perhaps many, when your heart will be bruised, your spirit weary, and your hope a flickering flame. The world, with all its sharp edges, will not ask your permission before it wounds you. And yet, in such moments, you are presented with a sacred choice, to collapse or to stand, to bleed publicly, or to bind your wounds quietly and walk forward as if they were not there. This is not cowardice nor falsehood. It is courage in its most silent and noble form. To learn to act as if nothing hurts you is not to lie about your pain, but to refuse it the final word. For pain may knock, but it need not take up residence. It may strike, but you need not become its echo. There is something deeply powerful, perhaps even divine, in the man or woman who, though aching within, lifts their head, fixes their coat, and keeps walking. You see, the world does not pause for our sorrow. It spins indifferently, and we are asked not whether we feel like facing it, but whether we will. And in this lies a marvelous truth. Strength is rarely a feeling. It is most often an act of the will. We do not wait until we feel courageous before doing courageous things. We do the courageous thing, and sometimes, after the doing, courage finds us. I do not ask you to pretend that you are unhurt. That would be to deny something sacred in the human experience. But I ask you to learn the discipline of dignity. There is a quiet heroism in walking into the storm with your wounds covered, not to deceive, but to preserve something of yourself that pain has not touched. And when others look at you, perhaps they too, wounded, fearful, trembling, they will see someone who is not crushed by life's blows, and in that vision they will gather the courage to stand also. There is a kind of spiritual maturity that refuses to parade suffering. It does not mean you must always smile or pretend to be cheerful, but it does mean you learn to master your pain instead of letting your pain master you. Acting as if nothing hurts you is not denial. It is discipline. It is the training of the soul, a kind of inward soldiering. It is a decision, made in the darkest of nights, to speak light with your life even when your heart sees only shadow. Some may call this a mask. But I say, let it be so long as it shields not pretense, but perseverance. Even Christ, in his agony, did not weep for sympathy. He bore suffering with a silence that shook the heavens. What might happen if you, too, bore your pain with such holy defiance, not with arrogance, but with the quiet resolve that says, "This will not break me. I will not let it." We live in a world that tells us our feelings must be expressed at every turn, that healing only comes through venting, exposure, endless self-description. And yes, there is a time for honest confession. But there is also a time for sacred restraint. For in choosing to act as if nothing hurts you, you build a place within where pain is not permitted to reign. And in time, that place becomes stronger, truer, and more real than the pain itself. Children learn by imitation, so do souls. When you imitate strength, even before you feel it, you are building a scaffold for your soul to climb. Each act of quiet endurance is a brick in a cathedral unseen. You may not see the architecture now, but heaven does, and in time so will others. So walk on, even when your feet drag, even when the weight is too much. Walk as if you are whole, act as if the arrow missed. Stand as though nothing can fell you, for in doing so you are not merely playing pretend. You are stepping into the very person you were born to become. and one day you will look back and see that you were never pretending after all. You were becoming. It is a strange and noble thing, the human soul, capable of great sorrow, yes, but also of extraordinary endurance. You may think you are weak because you feel pain so deeply, but the truth is this: feeling is not weakness. What matters is not the storm within, but the choice you make in the midst of it. The man who feels pain and continues on is infinitely braver than the man who never knew pain at all. And when you act as if nothing hurts you, not because you are untouched, but because you are unwilling to be undone, you declare that your soul is sovereign over your circumstances. There is a lie we are told, sometimes gently, sometimes with loud insistence, that to be authentic, we must constantly display our pain, that every wound must be made visible, every sorrow must be shared aloud. But I say this is not always true. There is a deeper authenticity in the soul that learns to carry pain with grace, to offer the world not a mirror of its own chaos, but a glimpse of order, a whisper of courage. Acting as if nothing hurts you is not suppression. It is a sacred offering. It is saying, I will not let this pain become my identity. I will carry it, yes, but I will not wear it. This does not mean you must never speak of what wounds you. There is wisdom in confession and healing in being known, but there is also strength in silence, in carrying something quietly because you have chosen not to let it define you. The great men and women of history were not those who escaped pain, but those who bore it without becoming bitter. They walked through fire and did not shout about the flames. They simply kept walking. There will be times when you are broken truly and deeply, and the world will not know. And still you must rise, not because it is easy, but because it is right. Because to live as if nothing hurts you is to live from the part of you that cannot be hurt, the eternal part, the soul that even death cannot destroy. This strength is not found in your muscles, your voice, your bravado. It is found in that quiet place within where your will speaks softly and says, I will not give in. Do not misunderstand. This is not about arrogance. This is not about pretending to be invincible. It is about deciding that you will not let your pain shout louder than your purpose. Even when you are afraid, act as if you are not. Even when you feel weak, move as though you are strong. You are not lying to yourself. You are reminding yourself of what is truer than how you feel. Every day you choose to keep going, even with invisible wounds, you are building a soul of steel, not cold or hard, but resilient, tempered by trial, sharpened by grace. And those around you who carry wounds of their own will see you, and though they may never speak it, they will draw strength from you. This is how light spreads in a dark world, not always through words, but through the quiet testimony of lives that refuse to crumble. The truth is, we are all hurt in some way. No one escapes it, but some rise above it, and they do so not because they are unscathed, but because they have chosen to stand anyway. They have learned the sacred art of dignity, of grace under pressure, of walking through life with their wounds, hidden not to deceive, but to protect the world from becoming a place where only pain is visible. When you learn to act as if nothing hurts you, you are not masking your humanity. You are revealing the divine courage planted deep within you. It is not a rejection of feeling, but a declaration that your feelings are not in control. And as you practice this again and again, you will find that you are not merely surviving. You are becoming strong, noble, and deeply good, not because you never hurt, but because you refuse to let the hurt stop you. The beauty of choosing to act as if nothing hurts you is that it teaches you discipline not just of the body, but of the mind and soul. It is easy to be stoic when nothing presses on you, but it is another thing entirely to remain steady when life strikes at the core of who you are. And yet it is in those very moments of hidden anguish that character is forged, not loudly, not in the glare of applause, but quietly, like roots deepening in unseen soil. The world may never see the tears you fight back, the fear you choose not to voice, or the doubt you wrestle alone in the dark, but those silent victories shape you far more than any visible success. To act as if nothing hurts you is not to become numb. It is, paradoxically, to feel everything, and still carry on. Some will misunderstand this. They will call it denial or self-deception, but they do not understand the inner landscape where courage blooms. There are parts of the soul where no spotlight can reach, where we meet ourselves at our most honest, most vulnerable, and yet from that place we rise, not as liars, but as those who know that the deepest truths are not always shouted from rooftops. Sometimes they are lived in the quiet decision to keep going, one foot in front of the other, without complaint. You may find that there are days when the very act of rising from your bed feels like a battle. You may speak little, smile less, and feel the weight of your own hidden burdens pulling at your shoulders. But if you still choose to act with kindness, to speak with calmness, to work with care, then you are already walking in rare and noble company. Saints, soldiers, poets, and prophets, many of them bore their pain silently, not because it wasn't there, but because they would not let it poison what they offered to the world. This choice to act as though nothing hurt often feels lonely. That is because so few are willing to do it. It is easier to collapse, to lash out, to demand the world accommodate our every ache. But what if, instead of demanding pity, we offered strength? What if, instead of mirroring the chaos, we reflected steadiness? You see, the world already knows how to bleed. What it needs is someone who has bled and still chooses to heal, someone who walks with a limp but never lets it slow their stride. That kind of strength cannot be faked. It is not built in a day. It is built every time you are tempted to fall apart and instead choose to remain whole. Every time you want to scream but speak peace. Every time you want to give up and yet take one more step. It is built through patience with yourself and through a vision of who you are becoming, a vision truer and deeper than any present pain. And in time, something remarkable happens. You begin to realize that the act of behaving as if nothing hurts you has actually begun to change you. The pain, though real, loses its control. The wounds, though still healing, no longer define your identity. You begin to live from a place beyond hurt, a place of wisdom, endurance, and deep compassion. Not because you avoided suffering, but because you walked through it with purpose. So let others say what they will. Let them mistake your quiet strength for ignorance or pride. You know the truth. You know what it cost you to stand tall, to speak gently, to keep showing up. And that knowledge, unspoken, quiet, eternal, is yours alone. That is the reward of those who learn to act as if nothing hurts them. Not applause, not recognition, but the steady, growing knowledge that they are becoming unshakable. And in this trembling world, that is no small thing. There will come a time when you realize that strength is not always loud. It does not always arrive with clenched fists or raised voices. Sometimes it comes in the form of silence, of stillness, of choosing not to respond in anger, not to crumble under pressure, not to let the world dictate who you must become simply because of what it has thrown at you. To act as if nothing hurts you is to reclaim your authority over the narrative of your life. It is to say, I will not let pain be the author of my story. Every person you admire, whether in books or history or your own quiet life, has, at some point, endured. Not by escaping hardship, but by bearing it with grace. Not by always speaking of their suffering, but by choosing not to let it shape every word they say. You may not see their pain in photographs or hear it in their speeches, but it is there, underneath the surface. And yet they walk forward with purpose, with resolve, with an unwavering sense of dignity that refuses to be dictated by circumstance. You can do the same, it may feel unnatural at first. You will wonder whether you are pretending too much, whether you're deceiving others by wearing calmness like a coat over a burning heart. But consider this: you are not deceiving anyone when you choose discipline over despair. You are not hiding the truth, you are revealing a deeper one. The truth that while pain may visit, it does not own you, that while life may wound you, your response is still your own, that though you are fragile, you are not helpless. What you are doing is forging a different kind of honesty, not the kind that demands to be seen and pitied, but the kind that speaks through action, through integrity, through quiet perseverance. You are choosing to become the sort of person who others will turn to not because you are untouched, but because you have walked through fire and chosen not to scorch the earth around you. There is a sacred power in that kind of poise, a quiet rebellion against the culture of collapse. It is worth remembering that no one becomes wise without learning how to suffer well. Wisdom is not born from ease. It is shaped in the furnace of adversity and cooled in the patience of long nights. To act as if nothing hurts you is not to deny that furnace. It is to step out of it clothed in something unburned. You become not just a survivor, but a builder of something better. Your restraint becomes your strength. Your control becomes your courage, your silence becomes your song, and in all this you do more than protect yourself. You bless those around you, for every time you hold yourself together when it would be easier to unravel, someone watching you will learn that they too are capable of endurance. We do not always know who is learning from us. Sometimes our smallest acts of self-mastery light a candle in someone else's darkness. That is the beauty of living with quiet strength. You not only heal yourself, you become a source of healing for others. Do not wait for life to stop hurting before you decide to become strong. Become strong in the hurt. Choose grace now. Choose steadiness now. Act as if nothing hurts you, not because you are invincible, but because your soul has decided that nothing, no wound, no word, no loss, will define you more than your courage to continue. And one day, perhaps sooner than you think, you will look at yourself and realize that what once was a performance has become a truth. You are not acting anymore. You are unbreakable in the places that once felt most fragile. There is a quiet revolution that takes place inside a person who decides to stop announcing their pain to the world and instead begins to walk through it with grace. It is not the revolution of indifference, nor the cold detachment of someone who has ceased to feel. No, it is the steady uprising of the soul, a soul that has grown weary of being ruled by emotion and has chosen instead to stand on the solid ground of will. To act as if nothing hurts you is not a rejection of your humanity, but an affirmation of your higher self. It is the slow, steady decision to respond to life not as a victim, but as a steward of your own spirit. Pain, if left unchecked, has a tendency to define a person. It wraps itself around your thoughts, your language, your posture. You begin to speak from it, walk with it, make decisions as if it were the truest thing about you. But pain is not truth. It is only an experience, and like all experiences, it can be interpreted, shaped, and transformed. To act as if nothing hurts you is to give pain no more than its proper place. You acknowledge it, yes, but you do not bow to it. You feel it, but you do not feed it. You carry it, but you do not let it become your name. This posture requires practice. It requires an inner clarity about who you are apart from what has happened to you. The world will often try to make you forget. It will name you by your losses, your traumas, your weaknesses. It will encourage you to build an identity around your wounds, but there is another way, a better way. You can build your identity around your strength, quiet, unseen, persistent strength. The kind of strength that grows not because you were spared the fire, but because you walked through it and learned not to let it consume you. Each time you face a day when your soul feels tired and your heart heavy, but you rise anyway, you are reinforcing the foundation of that strength. Each time you speak kindly, while your own pain threatens to twist your words, you are becoming something more solid. And each time you choose to believe that you are more than your suffering, more than your fear, more than your disappointment, you are driving a stake into the ground and claiming your life as your own. You will never fully escape pain in this world. That is not within your power. But what you can do is deny it the power to govern your behavior. You can learn to carry yourself as though you are unshaken, not because you feel nothing, but because you have trained yourself to be ruled by something greater than feeling, by virtue, by courage, by grace. And in time this practice becomes more than a pose. It becomes your nature. People often search for miracles. They want deliverance from hardship, from sadness, from fear. But perhaps the greater miracle is to walk through the fire and emerge still yourself, stronger, wiser, more compassionate, and more composed. Perhaps the miracle is not that you are spared the storm, but that you become the one who stands still in the middle of it, eyes clear, soul intact. So continue. Let the world do what it does. Let the pain come, as it surely will, but do not let it change your posture. Let it beat on your chest like rain on stone, and remain still, not unmoved, but unbroken, not untouched, but unconquered. For the one who learns to act as if nothing hurts is not faking strength. They are awakening it. They are becoming it. And in a world that groans under the weight of its wounds, that kind of soul is more necessary than ever.